So before we get started, there's a couple things I wanted to let everybody know. One, I do stream on Mixer, so I would really appreciate it if you click the link in the description below and check me out there. That'd be awesome. Second thing is this video is going to work a little bit differently. I'm going to go into separate clips and more depth for the new operators, as well as some of the operators that people were arguing about in the comment section below, to explain why I put them where I put them, or if I moved them, why I moved them. Also, keep in mind I am a Plat I player, and I usually play with a full 5 stack of people I know, and that's going to greatly affect where I place people. For example, Capcan is really good in the lower ranks like Bronze and Silver, because players there usually don't check for EED traps when they're walking through doorways or windows, whereas in Plat, Diamond, and Champion, they do. So keep things like that in mind as you watch this video. So here we are with another tier list for Operation Shifting Tides. It's going to work a little bit differently this time. I have some clips so I can go a little more in depth for the new ops, Kali and Wamai, as well as for some of the operators that were a bit hotly contested in the comment section of last season's video. Happy, sit down. Sit down. Put on your glasses. Now you're young, rich, and bougie. Sick. Okay. As well as for some of the operators that were hotly contested in last season's video. So yeah, I'm just going to hop right into it. I'm going to try to make it a little quicker this time. I know these things can drag on pretty long, but keep in mind I am a Plat I player, and I do normally play with a 5 stack of people I know, so that's going to affect the rankings. If you're a solo queuer, obviously some operators are going to be more important because you need that extra bit of independence and information, or if you're a lower or higher rank, you're going to have differing opinions, because varying levels of skills mean varying levels of usage. So yeah, let's hop right into it. F tier, last season I believe I put Glaz, Tachanka, and Knock, and they're all staying there. Let's see. Glaz, he's just gotten nerfed to hell. His scope, you have to stand still for several seconds before you get the infrared effect. And being forced to stand still in Siege is not a good thing. And the same thing with Tachanka. They both suffer from kind of the same issue. High damage weapons, but it forces them to stand still. At this point, I feel like Glass should just have an ACOG. Like, get rid of the sniper scope or the infrared scope. Like, just give him an ACOG. It might not be as good as the infrared scope was, but it'll be better than it is now. And then Tachanka, everyone, he's the meme, he's the lord, but for the sake of being serious, I'm putting him in F tier just so newer players don't accidentally think he's good. And then Knock, yeah, put her there. Where is she? Right here. Knock has a lot of potential. The issue with her ability is it's less effective when she's sprinting, and it doesn't last long, right? You don't usually have enough time to get from point A to point B before the ability runs out, and then you're just a normal person with a gun, and bad guns at that. The only kind of decent gun she's got in her kit is the Deagle, but even then that gun's got a lot of recoil, so you have to land your shots like on the first or second shot. If you're spamming that thing, you're probably not going to get the kill. And then moving on to, oh yeah, and obviously all the recruits would be F tier, but just pretend I put them all up there. And then moving on to E tier, let's see, I put Alibi in E tier last season. I feel like E is too harsh, but I feel like D is too generous, so I'm going to keep her in E tier. She's got a good kit, she's got good guns, she's got impacts, but her holograms, for whatever reason, they're just, I can't put my finger on it, they're just too easy to spot and realize that it's a hologram. So it's kind of useless. You can have some sort of like tricky plays, like put the holograms in common lanes of fire, forcing the attackers to shoot them and give out their location and stuff like that. But there's nothing stopping them from just shooting the base of the hologram unless it's like behind a window or deployable shield. But I doubt most decent people are gonna shoot through a hologram. And then we have Maru, also E tier, which is sad because it's a cool idea. Oh yeah, before I go any further, let me clarify something else. F tier, these operators are like, never use them. Like, don't use them unironically. Maybe knock, like in some situations I'll get to later, but overall F tier. E tier is like, I've noticed the people I put there are like, they have good guns, but they have a horrible ability. That's like what I put in my E tier. D tier is like, they're kind of They're just like, sometimes they're okay, but most of the time they're not. C tier is like 50-50. Like sometimes they're influential and they'll make the round for you, and sometimes they're not. It really depends on like the site that you're playing at, is if C tier is going to be useful or not. B tier is like, they're pretty good most of the time. A tier is like, they're almost always good. And S tier is like, you want to bring these operators, or at least some combination of them, every round if they are available. That's how good they are. Like, you need to bring these operators almost every round in some combination. So yeah, let's get back to it. E tier, this one made people a little mad. Ashe. So last season I put Ashe in E tier, which I know seems a little extreme, but I am putting her in E tier this season again. And really, it just comes down to the fact that Zofia exists. I'm actually going to make an entire other video called Ashe versus Zofia, because I can literally go on and on and on about that. But to boil it down, Zofia is better in every way than Ashe. She's got not only 2 explodey boys, but 2 concussy boys. She can get herself back up. She's got an LMG if she needs that, and both of her guns, unlike Ashe, have ACOGs on them. And she's also resistant to Gersmont mines. So yeah, with that being said, Zofia just brings a lot more than Ashe. I don't know why people like Ashe so much. Kind of a, I don't know what you would call it. Like, it's just maybe a mindset thing, because everyone knows Ashe. She's easy to use. Everyone loves Ashe. Because you don't really have a lot of utility, that allows you to take risks and push more, because let's be honest, it's not a big deal if Ashe dies, right? Like, whereas if your Thermite dies, that has a much bigger impact on the round. So that sort of lack of responsibility that Ashe brings, due to her lack of utility, allows the player to take more risk. But you can do that same thing with every other operator. It's more of a mindset thing as opposed to an operator thing. And then moving on with E tier, Cav. This is one of those operators I was talking about, how if you're a different skill level, may affect your ranking. In Platinum, Diamond, and Champion gameplay, most attacking teams aren't going to let a Cav pull off an interrogation. So all of the use you get out of her ability is really just going to be the silent step. And she's got that high damage pistol, but that's pretty much it. I just feel like Cav is kind of like a risky and overall just not a good pick. You get way more utility out of other operators, even though it seems tempting to, get that interrogation. But most of the time, unless it's like in the latter stages of the round, an interrogation isn't really going to be that great. Most of the time you see an interrogation, the majority of the operators are, or the attacking team is outside. So yeah. And then next, this is another one that made people mad. Vigil. Last season, I put Vigil in E tier, and surprise, I'm putting him in E tier again. And here's why. His ability is stupid. Yes, it stops you from being like literally seen by drones. It makes you invisible, but it also gives the attacker's drones more context clues to your locations than other defenders. Those little white lines on the screen, if you've noticed, they get more intense and there's more sound interference when you're near them. So although it may not let the attacker see exactly where you are, it gives you clues to kind of compensate for that. So in higher levels of gameplay, it doesn't really do anything. With that being said, though, he does have a great loadout. He actually has my favorite gun on defense, the K1A. That's my favorite gun to use on defense. And he's got that auto pistol. He's got impacts. So he's a good gunfighter, but that's it. His ability isn't that really helpful to himself, and it's definitely not helpful to his team. It's a pretty selfish ability. I like abilities that help the entire team, not just one operator. So yeah, I don't know why people love Vigil so much. Well, I know why. It's because people like to have fun and shoot things. And Vigil is a fun operator. But I'm trying to look at this from a more serious standpoint. There are a few strategies where he's good. Like I'm going to be mentioning or talking about later. Space Station Gaming used him in a strategy on, what was it? Clubhouse. And that was with Mozzie and Mute, and they have a 100% win rate on Basement of Clubhouse, and that is a strategy using Vigil, so I will mention that. But, that's just one strategy. At the end of the day, for the most part, he's just an operator with a good loadout and a good guns, but a horrible ability. And you don't want to pick your operator based off their guns. You want to pick your operator based off of their ability. At least I hope you do. And now that we're done with that, next in E tier is, let's see, I believe I put Goyo in E tier last season. I'm putting him here again. Same thing. The Vector's pretty cool on a 2-speed. However, his gadget, statistically, like if you look at like the Rainbow Six website and all the Wikipedias for it, his gadget, the Goyo shield, or the Vulcan shield, actually kills more defenders than it does attackers. I actually had a play like that yesterday where I peeked a corner and I saw a Jaeger sitting behind a Vulcan shield, and for the meme of it, I just shot the explosive and killed him with it. And the reason is because there's so many attackers that have some form of utility that can take it out, or just, human error and accidents. Like, Goyo is literally just a safety risk. There's a few sites where he can be kind of cool, but overall, it's almost too dangerous to bring him. Like, just statistically, it is. Like, his Vulcan shield has killed more defenders than attackers. You may as well just be an attacker at that point. And then we have, next up, Warden, which is really sad, because I like this operator. And keep this in mind. Like, I'm not saying, like, if I put these people in a lower tier than you like, that I hate these operators. A lot of these operators are really fun. Like, I have a lot of fun playing these lower tier operators, and Warden's one of them. It's just the thing is, he doesn't counter a lot of people. He counters flashbangs, he counters Blitz and Glaz and Ying, but that's about it. It's going to be very rare that you have a lot of attackers playing those ops coming at the same time. So more often than not, you're not going to be countering anything. He is fun. If you notice that the attacking team is bringing some of those ops, then maybe he's worth bringing. But yeah, overall, it's just, ironically, you're going to have those little Iron Man glasses and not have to do anything with them. You're not even going to turn them on most of the time. And then I think that's it for E tier. So we're moving on to D tier. Let's see, Blitz. Excuse my dog if he's making a lot of sound. He's upset and he wants to go on a walk. D tier, Blitz. Fuse. Oh yeah, I didn't explain. Blitz. Since the shield nerf, they made it so like it takes longer to get your shield down and get your pistol out. So he kind of lost all of the bite to his bark. You have to be a little bit more slow and methodical, which isn't how Blitz is supposed to be played. Like, his name is Blitz. That, and they've also reduced the flash range of his shield significantly, so you pretty much have to be right in their face before it actually will completely flash them. Which is just good. He was overpowered. And then Fuse, sometimes it works if your team is super well coordinated and you can kind of like sheep herd the defenders into a certain spot, or sometimes you can use the cluster charges to flush them out and get them into your teammates' lines of fire. But that's not always going to happen, and that's another way I rank these operators is how useful are they consistently, right? Like, I'm not ranking these operators based on, can I get this cool, fast ace? I'm ranking them based on how consistently good are they, right? I don't like those operators where it's like sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Like, I want operators that I will almost always get use out of in every round. That's how I approach the game. Moving on. This is another one that made people mad, or a few people mad, but I found really interesting, and that's Dokkaebi. Last season, I put Dokkaebi in D tier, and I thought about moving her up because there was some good arguments, but ultimately it didn't really convince me. The thing about Dokkaebi is she's got two not good guns. DMRs in general, I don't think are good at all. Mainly because, again, higher levels of gameplay, you're going to keep hearing me say that word. DMRs aren't good because they have a low firing rate, right? Yeah, like they may do a lot of damage, but in a level of skill where most of your kills are coming from headshots, damage is irrelevant. It's just fire rate and can you control the gun. Fire rate because the more bullets you're lobbing at the enemy's face, the more chance you have of getting a headshot, and the more stable the gun is, the easier it is to do that. And neither the EBR or the Boss G are very stable guns, and obviously they both have very low fire rates, being a double barrel shotgun and a DMR. So yeah, as far as her ability goes, in my last video I said just bring Jackal, and someone said but Jackal's banned all the time, and yeah, that's why, because Jackal's better. People would rather have their phones called than get Jackal pinged all the time. The thing about Dokkaebi's phone calls is you have to be within earshot, right, to actually act on that information. Or even, if the game's too chaotic, there's too much explosions going on, teammates are screaming in your ear, there's a bunch of gunfire, sometimes you can't even hear the phone call. Plus, the phone calls themselves get nerfed. They turn off automatically now. They don't force you to end it yourself. If you walk into a mute jammer, it will automatically end it. So yeah, bad guns, a subpar ability, and she's gotten nerfed. So yeah, that's easy D tier. She does have that little auto pistol thing that I'm seeing myself use right now, which is kind of weird because I feel like most people would rather use that pistol than her other guns, unless they're just trying to meme with the Boss G, especially now that it has an ACOG on it. But again, let me know what you guys think. If you think Dokkaebi's better, go ahead. And this is another one of those cases where skill comes into play, because if you're a god at the game, right, and you're just popping off with one-tap headshots, then I'm sure maybe these DMRs and Boss Gs aren't so bad. But I beg to differ. I really only bring Dokkaebi if the defenders are being dummy aggressive, running out, spawn peeking all the time, taking every fight they can. The phone calls are good just to kind of slow them down and make them think twice. It's more so psychological than it is, like hear the phone call, kill the person holding the ringing phone kind of thing. But yeah, and mainly for me it's just, subpar ability, subpar guns. And this clip right here, I actually don't think I would have won this round if it wasn't for the auto pistol. So thank God she's got the auto pistol. If it wasn't for the auto pistol, I might actually put her lower. I think that's her only saving grace, is the auto pistol. And of course, when you're playing against a stupidly aggressive defense, but that's not always going to be the case. Alright, so now we got that out of the way. Moving on to the rest of D tier. Kapkan. D tier, and here's why. His gadget is solely dependent on the ignorance of the enemy team. Here is the counter to Kapkan. I'm going to blow your mind. This is a secret. Don't tell anybody. Before you step through a doorway or a window, just look at the sides. If you see a Kapkan EED, just shoot it. That's it. You've destroyed the entire point of Kapkan. The only time I bring Kapkan out is if the attackers are being stupidly aggressive, right? They're not droning, they're just rushing in, guns blazing. That's when you want to use Kapkan. Lion, he's got nerfed to hell. His ability isn't as good anymore. He's got good guns though. Use him when defense is being stupidly aggressive to kind of slow them down a little bit. And then we got, that's it for D tier. C tier, Castle. Use him to shape rooms to what you want, to shut off lines of sight as a speed bump to attackers. But the thing is, most of the time attackers have some utility that they can deal with it anyways, so a lot of times attackers are just going to blow up the castle barricades, but at least you slow them down. Then we have Ella, C tier. I would put her higher, but the thing is, both of her guns are limited to close range. The Scorpion, at least, can have a little bit of range, but it forces you to get one-tap headshots, at anything over 10-15 meters, which you can't rely on that because that gun has crazy high recoil. And then we have Finka, bunch of extra health, recoil mitigation, yada yada yada. But it's more effective the more teammates you have, right? Because dealing with just one person that's boosted isn't that bad, but dealing with 5 that are all boosted with extra health, making up for a total of 100 extra health, and all that recoil mitigation is devastating. So it really depends on the state of the round and the situation you're in. Kaid, also C tier, good bandit substitute, and he can stop hatches. He's got a DMR, let's call it what it is, the TCSG whatever shotgun, it's a DMR. And then we have Montaigne. It's almost impossible to kill him. Where is he? It's almost impossible to find him. Pretty much a human drone. Good for a lot of sites, but not every site. And at the end of the day, yes, you have an indestructible shield, but sometimes it's better just to have another person with a gun that you can shoot people with. Then we have Capitao. He's even more dependent on what side it is, because sometimes you can use those asphyxiating bolts. I have trouble saying that word. And smoke to flush out defenders and flush out a bandit off of a wall with the firebolt. But again, that's dependent on a site, because some sites you can get angles like that on, and some you cannot. And then we have, let's see, Rook. I put Rook C last season. I'm putting him down to D this season because, again, in Platinum Diamond Champion gameplay, you're going to be getting a lot of headshots. So it doesn't matter that you have a minuscule tiny amount of bullet resistant damage to just one bullet, because most of the time you're going to be getting shot in the head anyways. And then we have Ying. Half the time she just blinds her own teammates, even when she doesn't mean to. And it's, you can just look away if you're in a corner, unless it's super close to you. Or now that we have, Womai and Jaeger, a lot of the times it's going to be a moot point. And even Warden is a good counter too. But we don't really see Ying out there a lot, so I'm getting off topic. Yeah, Ying is C tier. Is that it for the C tier? Am I done? I think I'm missing someone. C tier. No, I'm good. Okay, I have like a picture from last season to my side that I'm looking at as reference. And then we have B tier, Bandit. A good bandit trigger is the most annoying thing in the world. If you get really good at it, the only thing that can stop a bandit trigger is Maverick or vertical play and just outright killing him. But there's no way to, just traditionally can't counter a bandit by just throwing an EMP down, because he's just going to pick up his battery and put it back down later. And then we have, hey dog. And then we have Doc, B tier. He's annoying. He gives you extra health on defense. He's got a good gun. It really sucks when you fight a doc and then he runs off and he got to heal, but you didn't. And then we have Blackbeard. He has a bullet-resistant shield in front of his face in a game where headshots are one-hit kills, so obviously that's a massive advantage. I would put him in A tier, but some maps require you to actually enter the building, which means his body is exposed. Well, almost all maps require you to enter the building, but some sites have, windows right on the site that lead outside. And then we have Frost, great operator, underrated. If a Frost or another defender is playing in a room with the welcome mat, the attacker can't move in because he can only shoot the welcome mat or the defender, and he doesn't have time for both. So if you're in the room with the welcome mat, they're not getting in there. And then we have Gridlock and Nomad. Both of them do the same thing in different ways, that being shut down, rotations, flanks, and surprise counterattacks. Both have good loadouts too, good guns. And then we got Jackal. Last season I put him in B tier. I was thinking about putting him in C, but I actually kind of like his nerf, because what it does is it makes it so the footprints, the older they are, the less pings you get off of them. Which means Jackal has to play a little more aggressively, actually get into the building faster to get to those footprints, which I think is sort of a hidden buff, because so many people play this game by just sitting outside and holding an angle forever. It's attack. You need to be aggressive. You need to move in. You need to put pressure on defense. So I like that nerf. A similar thing happened with Ashe a couple seasons ago, where they took away her ACOG on her R4C, and her win rate actually went up slightly. And that's because that forced bad players to actually play attack like they're supposed to get close, to put pressure, to attack. And then moving on from Jackal, Mozzie, you can deny information from the attackers. And if you want to, use that drone to get information for yourself. He's got a secondary shotgun. He's got 2 great guns. C4, he's amazing. And then we got, where is he? Bald Boy, Pulse. You can see where attackers are if they're close enough, and you can blow them up with C4. Information is king in Siege. Anything that gives you information, you should start using that thing. And then we have Smoke. Someone in the comment section, I should put Smoke a little higher. And the reason I'm not sure about that is Smoke is the most effective at the end of a round, like the last 30, 20, 10 seconds, when the attackers have to push. So if a smoke goes down, they don't have time to wait for it. They have to push through it, and they have less health, so they're already banged up, so they're going to be really soft by the time they get on the other side of that toxic babe smoke. But if it's earlier in the round, not so effective. You have to be really patient with the toxic babes and hope that the attackers do take a long time to push. But if they don't, if they get everything they need to do, if they clear all the roamers and they have, a minute 30 to push site, the toxic babes aren't going to slow them down enough to make a difference. But still a great operator. It kind of depends on attack, but I don't like operators that depend on the skill of the opposing team, but still a great operator. Then we have, who else on B? I think that's it for B. And then A, Buck and Sledge, they both do the same thing in different ways. They both have grenades, they both have good guns. Buck can do vertical play from bottom up. Sledge can only do it from top up or side to side. However, Sledge can take out more stuff with his hammer than Buck can, but it's not like he can yeet his hammer to the ceiling like Thor. But both good operators. Clash, A tier. She's actually been removed from the game for most of the season because that glitch came back where she had the machine gun through her shield at the same time. A great operator. There's really not a lot you can do to deal with a Clash other than using Capitao or outright killing her. While she's going to be slowly chipping away at your health, or if she's ballsy, she can just break lines of sight and then come back with her gun out when you're not expecting it. And then we have Jaeger. He's got an assault rifle and defense. Oh, it's technically a carbine. It's classified in the game as an assault rifle. It has the same average damage and range as all the attacker assault rifles. That's why Jaeger is so powerful, because he can go toe-to-toe with attack in terms of weaponry. And his ADSs are good. They can take out 6 grenades or flashbangs or breaching rounds or whatever, anything that's launched or thrown, other than gridlocks, track stingers, and capital bolts. He can stop and outright destroy, and he can do that 6 times. And then we have Mira. Gives you information with a one-way mirror thing, and we're not technically a mirror, but you know what I mean, window. Got C4, got a Vector, which is a very good gun. She's got a secondary shotgun. When she was introduced, she suddenly turned sights that were not good into good sights, like Basement on Oregon. Moving on, we got Mute, not as good at denying breaching as Bandit, but he can take out drones, he can stop Dokkaebi phone calls, he can not stop but camouflage you from line scans. I think they're actually thinking about adding it in, so if you're near it when you're getting jackal pinged, it blocks that too, but I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, it's cool. He stops a lot of stuff. And then we have Twitch, one of the best guns in the game. She can destroy defender gadgets, which is obviously great. And then we got Zofia. She's Ash, but better in every way. Stop using Ash. Use Zofia. She's got 2 explodey boys, 2 concussion-y boys. She's got what is it called? Withstand. She can get herself back up after being downed. She's got an LMG. She's got 2 ACOGs instead of just 1. She's got a red dot sight on her pistol. Like, there's literally no reason not to use Zofia. She brings so much utility and abilities to attack. And then we have, I think that means we're almost done. IQ also is going to go, put her in B actually. I don't know, B or A. I feel like IQ's like, she's like fine aged wine, right? Especially with that elite skin. The more electronics that are added to defense, the more relevant IQ becomes. So keep in mind, as these seasons go on, IQ is going to probably bump up a little bit. And then who else? I think, do I want to put any of these operators in any other tier other than S? Because I think that means I'm putting all these operators in S. Yes, I'm going to do that. Valkyrie. Information. If you're a good Valkyrie player and your teammates aren't dumbasses who constantly spot on it, the attackers may never be able to find the cameras. Thermite, one of the few hard breachers, really big fucking hole coming right up. Thatcher, does Thermite have a problem making a really big fucking hole come right up? Thatcher can help with that. Cabana. Smaller holes, but still good holes. She can take out hatches, she can make full entryways, everything in between, whatever you need to do. Cabana's pretty versatile. And even a step further in versatility, we have Maverick. Is your Thermite dead? Well, that's okay. Or is your Thermite and your Habana dead? That's okay, because Maverick can make a hole through a wall, a big hole, and walk through it. Is your Thatcher dead? That's okay, because he can burn a smaller hole in the bottom and shoot the mute or the bandit battery or the person trying to bandit trick. And he can get hatches if your Habana and your Thermite is dead. 3 sides of the hatch, boom, hatch is popped. He does a lot. And of course, the classic, you can draw a big PP on the wall and then shoot people through it. And then we have Maestro. He's a master of clutching. He's got an Alda LMG with an ACOG on it. He's got a secondary shotgun pistol. He's got cameras that shoot freaking lasers out of them and are sometimes pretty difficult to destroy if you don't have explosives or sledge or, anything like that. And then we got Legion. Gets like 7 goo mines. Same concept as Smoke. But I think he has an easier and more versatile loadout than Smoke. He's got 7 goo mines. You can stack them in massive towers. He's got impacts. He's got the T5 SMG, which is really good. The later in the round it gets, the more powerful he is. If you step on a goo mine at 3 minutes, no big deal. If you step on a goo mine at 15 seconds with 10 health. Ouch. And plus, if you're solo queuing, Legion is great because that gives you some more information that you can use since you're not communicating with your teammates. And then Echo, he's got a partially invisible drone he can use to scout around as a defender, or deny plants and just disrupt the enemy. We've seen that happen a lot. We've all been there. We've all lost a round because we got stunned by a yokai blast. And that about does it for everybody except Kali and Wamai, which we're about to get to. So, thing about Kali, right, is she is the most, or one of the most high-risk, high-reward operators. She has the first bolt-action sniper rifle, which is extremely powerful. It is a one-hit down unless your target is overstemmed or through a wall. But if you miss that shot, you're screwed. You have to hit that first shot. Or if you're close to cover, of course you can take cover and rechamber, but if you're pushing, right, the final attack is coming, you don't have the luxury of missing your shots. So it's really dependent on the user if this operator is going to be good or not for them. As far as her explosive lance goes, it's pretty helpful, but I wouldn't consider it, better than the operators that do that sort of thing, like, Twitch, Maverick, Thatcher. But it is a good replacement, and it does work well in conjunction. It works really well, when you're using all those operators at the same time, in other words, if conjunction is too big and scary of a word for you. However, I'm really struggling deciding where to place her. I'm feeling B tier, just mainly because of her weapon, right? Which I know normally I don't do that, but this is the most powerful weapon in the game, guys. It is a one-hit down. If you can spend a little time to get your aim better and one-hit down people, that's incredible. I would not be surprised if we actually see Kali get nerfed because of this, especially on PC. Next, we have Wamai, which is a sort of 2.0 operator, the 2.0 to Jaeger. They both do the same thing, but in different ways. The differences is that Jaeger uses the ADSs, and he's got 3 of them, and each one can take out 2 devices that the attackers throw or launch. Whereas Wamai starts off with 1, and by the end of prep phase, he gets 2, and by the end of the whole round, he'll have a total of 5. Each of those can take out exactly 1 device, and by take out, they don't actually destroy it like Jaeger's ADSs. They just move it to the magnet, which is not a good thing. It's better than the attackers throwing it where they intended to throw it. But overall, I like the ADSs more because they outright destroy it. With that being said, though, you can do some cheeky stuff, maybe like have an attacker throw a grenade back at themselves. But that's probably going to be a rare occurrence, so I wouldn't really depend on that. He does have some good guns, though. He's got the MP5K, which is a very underrated and well-rounded SMG, and the AUG, which is honestly one of the weaker assault rifles, but it's still an assault rifle on defense. And only one other person has an assault rifle on defense, that person being Jaeger. Where do I want to put Wamai? See, this is hard. These new operators are hard because it takes a long time to kind of let them assimilate into the meta. But I think I'm going to put him in B tier too. And that's just because he really is just a weaker version of Jaeger. Not by a lot, but by a little bit, right? Because look at the math. Wamai can only Wamai can only move 5 devices that the attackers throw or launch. Whereas Jaeger can destroy 6 devices that the attackers throw or launch. And he has all of that possibility at the very start of the round, whereas Wamai has to wait. So you may not even get the full power of that utility if you die early like I just did. Or if the attackers rush in the beginning and you don't have time to sit there and wait for your Wamais to build up. Well, not your Wamais, but your magnets. Plus, the Jaeger's 416 is just a better assault rifle than the AUG. So yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, I think I'm going to put him in B. Still a good operator, just slightly weaker than Jaeger. No reason to bring him instead of, but maybe in substitute of. So yeah, Kali and Wamai, putting them both in B tier. That's about it. If you agree, thank you. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. I don't care. However, like I said earlier in the video, I do stream on Mixer. I'm actually probably going to be streaming by the time this video is uploaded. So yeah, click the link in the description below, and let's come talk about operators. I hope you guys have a good day, and keep it real. Goodbye.